The salesman at the luxury car dealership smirked as they ushered the woman toward the exit. With her plain clothes and modest demeanor, she looked like she didn't belong. "Sorry, ma'am, this isn't a place for window shoppers," one of them sneered. But they had no idea who she was or what was coming for them the next day. Sophia never cared much for appearances. Despite being married to one of the wealthiest men in Los Angeles, Alexander Donovan, she was a woman of simple taste. The billionaire adored her for her humility. But she had learned the hard way that the world often judged people by their looks. That afternoon, Sophia decided to visit an upscale car dealership to buy Alexander a surprise gift, a sleek, custom-built luxury car. She stepped inside, scanning the showroom filled with polished, expensive vehicles. But instead of a warm welcome, she was met with disdain. "Can I help you?" a young salesman asked, barely hiding his irritation. "Yes," Sophia said, smiling. "I'm interested in one of your top models, the Rolls Royce Phantom." The salesman snorted, exchanging amused glances with his colleagues. "Ma'am, maybe you should check out something more affordable. We have pre-owned sedans in the back." Sophia frowned. "I'm interested in the Rolls Royce." Another salesman, a tall man with an arrogant smirk, crossed his arms. "Look, we don't have time for people who aren't serious buyers. We can't just let anyone sit in these cars." The insult stung, but Sophia remained calm. "You shouldn't judge a book by its cover," she said softly. The tall salesman chuckled. "And you shouldn't waste our time. Please leave." Embarrassed and hurt, Sophia turned and walked out, the laughter of the salespeople echoing behind her. That night, Sophia sat at dinner, unusually quiet. Alexander noticed immediately. "What's wrong, sweetheart?" he asked, setting down his fork. She hesitated, but then told him everything: the smug looks, the condescending voices, the way they had dismissed her as if she were invisible. Alexander's expression darkened. "They treated you like that?" Sophia shrugged. "It's not the first time. I guess I just expected better." Alexander leaned back, a thoughtful glint in his eyes. "That dealership belongs to a friend of mine. Maybe it's time they learned a lesson." The next afternoon, the dealership was buzzing with activity. Salespeople entertained wealthy clients when a deep, unmistakable engine roar filled the showroom. Heads turned as a black Rolls Royce Phantom and two other luxury cars pulled up to the entrance. The doors opened, and out stepped Alexander Donovan, the billionaire, the legend. The salespeople froze. The tall one who had humiliated Sophia the day before quickly fixed his tie and suddenly stood straighter. "Mr. Donovan, what a surprise!" Alexander ignored him and turned to Sophia, who had stepped out of the car, looking radiant in a simple dress. He took her hand and led her inside. "You know," Alexander said, scanning the stunned employees, "my wife came here yesterday to buy me a car, but instead of helping her, she was insulted and thrown out." The manager, a middle-aged man in a navy suit, rushed over, sweating. "Sir, there must be a misunderstanding. Alexander held up a hand. "No misunderstandings, just poor judgment. So I have a decision to make." The tension in the room was thick. Every salesperson stood frozen, awaiting Alexander's next words. The manager swallowed hard, his collar suddenly feeling too tight. "Should I buy the Phantom today?" Alexander paused, letting their hope rise for just a moment. Then his smile vanished. "Or should I take my business elsewhere?" The staff's faces turned pale. The tall salesman, the same one who had mocked Sophia, stammered, "Mr. Donovan, we had no idea she was your wife. If we had known..." Alexander's sharp gaze silenced him. "You should treat every customer with respect, not just the ones you assume are rich." The manager stepped forward, bowing slightly. "Please, sir, we deeply apologize. Let us make this right." Alexander smirked. "You will." He turned to Sophia. "Would you like to choose a different dealership, my love?" Sophia met the eyes of the same men who had mocked her. She could see the fear in them now, the realization that they had insulted the wrong person. But she wasn't one for revenge. "No," she said with a smile. "I think I'll buy the Phantom." The manager exhaled in relief until she added, "After you replace your entire sales team." Silence fell over the showroom. The manager's face turned ashen. "Sir, that's..." Alexander raised an eyebrow. "A reasonable request." The weight of the billionaire's words crushed any protest. The manager, knowing he had no choice, nodded. "Of course, sir. It will be done immediately. By the end of the day, several salespeople were out of jobs, replaced by professionals trained to treat every customer with dignity. As Sophia and Alexander drove away in their brand-new Rolls Royce Phantom, she looked over at her husband, her fingers lightly grazing the smooth leather seats. "Was that too much?" she asked softly. Alexander chuckled. "Not at all. You didn't just buy a car today, you taught them a lesson they won't forget." Sophia smiled. Not because she had proven her worth, she had never needed to, but because she had reminded them of a simple truth. Respect costs nothing, but is worth everything.